there, humans, hippies, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and whoever you are lucky enough to be doing it too. How you all doing? I'm Bushka on Blitz, and I'm back with another dose of love, affection, and tanking hot stuff. Today, I'm going to be running a few games with three different platoon mates. First one's Mr. Ouija. The second one is my good mate, the Farting Bear. And the third one is the effervescent Snake Eyes, the Peril from St. Petersburg, Mad Max. My good mate in crime on the podcast. If you haven't listened to the podcast, please do. There is a bunch of interesting stuff up. I'm even going to have a chat soon to a mate of mine who is also a patron, Azikamo, who was a member of the 1st Armoured Division in Australia and drove real-life Leopard 1s. And we're going to learn a little bit about them. Might get Aegon into that one. Maybe a couple of the other guys from Patreon who are also real-life tankers with a lot of experience. So listen to the podcast. There is a link here in the actual description of the videos. You should check it out. These first two games are going to be interesting ones. There is a huge thing going on at TRX at the moment where I've been kind of half tracking it, and I've not been making a big deal about it because basically it's a fair enough world. Like, I fight these guys as well as fight with them. There is a huge issue basically with the fact that there are a massive amount of people who have very, very low average damage. Forget about win rates. Guys that have exceptionally low average damage playing Tier X tanks. By this I mean 600, 400, 700, 500, 900. And it's not always a perfect indicator. I'm not saying this is a thing that happens all the time. But what you find is those guys simply don't have the basics of tanking under their belt. They're predominantly Tier 5, 6 players who have won 60% of their games at those tiers, and as they move up are getting absolutely brutalized. They don't understand resetting camo. They don't understand angling their armor. They come out sideways. They don't understand the tactical movements of a map. They'll sit and spawn in an A100, that kind of thing. And I know this is going to earn me no end of trouble. They earn the tanks they play the most. Massive derp YAG Panzer E100s and Vk2801 183s, and that kind of tank. T110 E3s, anything with a whole lot of high explosive. And it can mean that Tier X at the moment, it's kind of degenerated again. Like, it swings and roundabouts. We go from Tier X being the perfect tier to be playing in to Tier X being an absolute dose of trouble and strife. And today, that's what Tier X was. You can see here, we've done really well. We've pumped DH Top Boy as hard as possible because he is one of the better players on their team, if not the best. And we've put heaps of damage into him, but we didn't manage to kill him. And then I've tracked that object. I'm going to get him again on the back of the track, just there. I set the shot up nicely. And then we've got over 9 rounds a minute with Rammer. We're up around 10 rounds a minute plus vents and double provisions. And we're going to keep him permatracked and dead in no uncertain terms. But it's 6-on-2 because the rest of the team, well, for the most part, there was a lot of guys in the team who were in that boat that I talked about earlier. Very, very low average damage players. The win rate is also low, but the big key indicator is low average damage because that means you don't have a lot of experience playing a higher tier. And this Leo 1 is pushing around. He's looking for a shot on Swiss, and we're just taking advantage of the massive DPM on the obj140 to pump onto the Leo. We get a shot there. We know there's a YAG coming behind us. We've bounced a lucky shot off the butt, and we're moving around and putting shots in elsewhere. But the YAG's now on the left, and we're screwed and dead. I'm not whinging because just like these are the guys that you don't win with, they're also the guys where you do 5k and win 1-on-6 because they just don't know what they're doing. This is the exact opposite, and this is how much I love you humans. I did a video very recently called How to Grind Credits. This is one of the games from the How to Grind Credits marathon I ran that ended up on the cutting room floor. And I thought it was worth a video all on its own. I'm running the Vk2801 with no provisions, with no premium ammunition, and oh no, I think I've got a couple of rounds of heat in here, but I'm not using them. And no adrenaline or any of that stuff. and I'm going to fire HE, and I'm using the derp gun. And I'm doing this to find out how much money I can make in the VK2801, because that was the whole point. And that was, I had to do this. Like, you can see there my pain immediately. The shell velocity on the VK2801 75mm is laser-like. It is superb. The shell velocity on this tank is very, very, very bad. And you can see the reload speed is abominable. You have to lead shots by half a tank. You're not getting anything done, and you have to snipe because you're either moving to a flank. If you brawl with this thing, you're never going to get shots in. It's just absolutely terrible. Trust me, I tried it, and I found that the best way to make credits in this tank was to hang at the back or hang behind heavies, wherever the heavies were pushing, and put shots in. And that's exactly what I'm doing. And you can see HE shots, there is nothing to pen. There are no big numbers popping up here. It is just pure, brutal, and gruesome. Oh, don't drive it with the derp cannon. Drive it with the normal gun and just don't shoot Premo, and it will be just as cheap to run. The ammunition costs 180 credits compared to the 120 credits of the derp gun and per round, and it's also far more likely to do damage, like a full roll of damage on the normal gun, than you are with the derp gun. Anyway, I digress. We are down by 3, and the rest of my team is probably wondering, who is this idiot in the VK2801 firing this gun? And don't worry, they start telling me, or at least one person in particular will not shut up. We try and get the blind shot kill here, and we are successful. At least the HE is useful for something. So it's back to 5 on 4, and we're still in with a chance. However, things are going to turn very grim very, very quickly, and I must say that I am fully to blame for this. If I was running the 75mm here, this game would have been won very, very long ago. And the Rico, the guy who just died in the MT25, is about to begin his tirade against the injustices of the world. And full credit to him, he continues his tirade for quite a long time. There we go, new platoon, it has started. This is one of the few targets you're going to want to fire a HE target at, or a HE shell at. That's the toaster. The toaster's a train wreck. Any German TD is fair game for your high explosive. Look at Noriko 77 carrying on like an absolute pork chop. Won't stop. He's not getting the response he wants. We're too busy staying alive here. There's a T-34 over in the back. My platoon mate, the farting bear, is also hanging back. Now, there's a reason for this. One of the hardest things to do in this tank is actually get damage. Oh, I can't help myself. Stay dead, Junior. There you go. And that just pours gasoline on the flames of his indignation, which is lovely. Anyway, there's 3 of us left and there's 4 of them. And I'm just looking for this guy out in the flank. There we go. All I'm trying to do is farm as much damage as possible. That's all I want to do. And they've jumped in the cap circle. So I'm going to go get this guy nutted. If I can farm as much damage as possible and get a big number up as a credit score, it would go wonders. And thank God this game really showed me the error of my ways, and that this tank was just not a tank to screw around with the derp in. The gun is just simply not good enough. And the gun that you can get without this is absolutely fantastic. And it doesn't change the fact that you don't lose money when you're paying 120 credits a shot versus 180. It just doesn't happen. And they've actually got 3 low hit point tanks here. And Noriko still can't help himself. He is not able to withstand. He's so upset. The 3 reds are all very low. This is doable. The biggest issue I'm going to have here is time. The guy is in the cap. He's on 72. The farting bear is going to move up and sort out the guy in the cap. And you're going to see a tragic consequence here of running HE. The super-powered vines that grow on vineyards and mines will stop high explosive rounds. Honest to God. It's like the tents on mines. The tents on mines are ridiculous, and the vines over here are even worse. Look at this. Don't know where that went. It's great driving the HE gun. Jeez, I love you humans a lot. This is a video that got asked for years, literally years. Ever since I started the channel, people have been asking me, how can you make money? And the practical application of it, making the video, was torture, absolute torture. I drove the Churchill gun carrier for this. We've got to go down and kill the Cromwell that's in cap. The problem is we're not going to be able to pen the Cromwell, and we've only got 40 seconds left to kill both the Cromwell and the M4. And despite the fact that the M4 is a one-shot, we are going to have to use some armor-piercing rounds on the Cromwell. The problem with this is that the AP rounds in this are only like 53 millimeters a pen, and you're going to have to run to heat, and that's going to kill. And you can see the decision-making here. I'm like, I can't kill this guy. I'm going to need to go to heat. I don't have enough time. And that's torture. So I've loaded up a heat shell, which completely ruins things. And then I'm going to have to ram him to get the kill. There we go. 5 seconds left. Noriko is still carrying on like a pork chop. I've loaded back into HE, and we run out of time. 1,731 in a draw will get you 24,000 credits. So that is 2 extraordinarily painful games to watch. And I'm glad you've sat with me through them, because this one is very nearly just as painful. I undersold the Helsing. I said it was not overpowered, it was balanced. Now that wasn't incorrect. Its ceiling is exceptionally high. And that's the reason why it gets called massively overpowered. Now, people will say, I run it at 60% or whatever. I mean, I can run just about any tank at tier 7 at 70% plus. This thing is just any other tank at tier 7. Good gameplay mechanics will get you there. And the fact that you get 1 free Dracula kill every game because the Spanner can't help but YOLO into your spawn means that you should lower your win rate by a couple of points. But when I say the ceiling is high, what I mean is the potential for the Helsing in the right situation is huge. And that's the case. And Snake and I are here. Snake is running around. What's Snake using the grub? I think he is in the T25AT. That's correct. And I am running the Helsing. And together, because Snake just got the T25AT, and he's really loving it. Great tank, and I'm going to have to do a review on it. It's a good tank. The rest of the team is following us around, and I'm not hitting anything. And this is one of the problems with the Helsing. The gun is not very, very accurate. So it doesn't do great work at long range unless you're quite lucky and they're all sitting sideways, which I've done before. The other thing is that the second shot doesn't go where the first shot goes. So if you're dealing with a tier 8 target, like an IS-3 Defender, and you've only got a very small weak point to aim at, then it's not going to go there. The perfect storm for the Helsing is lots of targets around 400 hit points that are easy pens. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is what we're about to get. A perfect storm on the Helsing. Snake and I are over on this right flank. We're trying to find targets. The Helsing has no gun elevation either, which is crap. And there you go. We've managed a double shot into the back of a KV-1S. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. But the team is going down like Jenna Jameson in an adult documentary. And we are the last humans left at the dance. It is 6 on 2. They are all over there and we are all over here, and things seem exceptionally dire. The high ceiling I'm talking about would be if you could get 400 hit point targets to come out one at a time in an orderly fashion and wait for me to reload. And boys and girls, this could very well be exactly what's about to happen. Target number 1. Thank you. I'm now just going to back up. Next to the line, if the IS, I think it is, if the IS could just step forward, that'd be great. Oh, we're going to get a T43 instead. Wonderful stuff. We're down to 2 on 3, all looking manageable. If the IS could come out sideways, that'd be just grand. Thanks very much, IS. Well done, you. And then suddenly things look superb. And as much as I've whinged in the first couple of games and shown you a couple of disastrous replays, this is a 6 on 2. And this is when a tank like the Helsing is considered vastly overpowered, where you get a whole lot of low hit point targets that just cannot deal with a double dose of 200 alpha. And that's exactly what we get. And I wanted to end it on a good note, so there you go. Thanks very much for watching, guys. I know this one was a bit different. I just wanted to give you some insight into the background of that credit grind video, because it really was something out of this world to do. I drove Churchill gun carriers firing HE. I drove Vk2801s firing HE. I drove with no provisions. I drove with no premo. I drove a couple with no consumables. It was just absolutely ridiculous. Anyway, that was one of the more freaking fun games that came up. I'm Bushka on Blitz. Make sure you listen to the podcast. If you haven't considered sponsoring the channel, please do. We're doing lots of fun stuff at the moment. There is a Twister Cup style tournament going on, the finals of which will be streamed. It's too late to enter that, but I'm going to be setting up a Tier 8 3-on-3 tournament for Asia, NA, and Europe in the very, very near future, like an ongoing round-the-year tournament that everyone can have a crack in constantly. I'm Bushka on Blitz. Thank you so very much for your support and the community that we're building up here together. Look after your families and stay safe on the battlefield.